Hello and welcome to Tip Tuesday. Today I'm going to go through results formulas and how to calculate certain results based on other data that's been entered. This is something that we see or get asked about quite often, how to do average and standard deviation and stuff like that for test points. So I'm going to show you several different ways to do average, and then we'll cover some of the other calculations as well. The first way, the easiest, is to simply use the average button during a calibration. So I have a torque wrench set up here with three test points here, low, mid, and high. And what we're going to do is we're going to enter the average of several readings to calculate an average and have it placed in the test point for pass-fail criteria. So we'll go through and do calibration. And I'm going to select average and then calibration results, and up at the top above your test points you'll see a series of icons. Well, the summation icon is average numbers, so you click on that and it pops up a little window that gives you 5 values or 5 entry blocks here. So we can enter in a series of values, and I'm just making up some numbers here as I go. Oops. And when I hit OK, it places the average of all those values into this field. Now the issue with this is that those values are not stored anywhere. Once these values are entered and the average is calculated, these values go away, so there's no way to report them on your certificate. So for accredited laboratories, I would not recommend this method. This is something that you would be hit on in an assessment because you haven't maintained your original observations. Now for an internal lab that's not accredited, then this may not be an issue where you just you have to enter in an average value. So this is one method of doing it. So we'll cancel out of this and we'll go to the 5 lines version. So here we can see I'm taking 5 readings for each of my low, mid, and high parts of the capacity of the torque wrench. And what I've done is I've set up a calculation, a results formula on line 6, line 12, and line 18. Now if I open up my formula builder, you can see that I'm just taking the line result for lines 1 through 5, adding those together and dividing by the number of readings, which is what gives me my average. I do that for the other 2 groups. Now when I go to calibrate, as you can see, I have all my lines here and I can enter in my values. Now to trigger the calculation, you have to enter some value here to actually seed the system, because what it's looking at a before post trigger action within the database. So it's whatever you're trying to post in there, it's going to see that as the trigger. So I just enter in a 0 and then hit enter, and it calculates the average. The good thing about this is it does maintain your previous readings here, so you can report these on your certificate if you need to. The other way, and as you'll notice here, I've got 18 test points to do this. Now most efficient way, and the way I prefer to do it, is to use the ask average functions. Now if you go into your results formula builder and go to functions and go all the way to the bottom, you'll see we have a series of ask average functions, or excuse me, ask functions. We have average, median, sum, standard deviation, project, minimum, and maximum. Now the project, most people will not use this whatsoever unless you're using test point projects. There's no reason to even use it. I mean, it's really what it does is gives you the opportunity to enter in a project to run, and it will run the project for you. But like I said, most people are not going to be using this. The way these work is you have two parameters that go with each one of them. The first one is the number of entries you're going to have, and the second one is the resolution, the number of decimal places. So in this case, I'm going to have 5 readings with 2 decimal places. So now when I run this event, you can see I have the 3 lines, but when I go in here and seed this with 0, you see it pops up my 5 readings. So I can enter in again whatever I want. 30.2. Again, I'm just making up some numbers here to so now if I hit OK, you'll see it put the average value out here in my as found. Now the good thing about this is that if I show hide calibration test point extra data, it pops up a little window here on the side, and it shows me all of my values that were used to calculate this. So this is stored per test point in what's called the test point extras field, or extra table. So as I step through each of these, you'll be able to see that I have different values. So let's do this 90.12, 90. And 90, let's go 88.34. I have a real bad one in there. So I hit OK, so it gives me my average here, and as you can see, I've got the values that were used to calculate it right here. So this is nice, that so I'm not cluttering up with a whole bunch of stuff on the screen here. Makes it simpler for the technicians, but also I can bring those values out on my certificate if I need. So on your certificate templates, over here in your data tree and your pipeline, you've got the test point fields, which are your normal everyday test points, but then you also have the calibration test points extra, which gives you access to those fields. Let's see, I've got this print builder screen in the way. Here we go. There we go. So got these values here. I can now bring them up in the print builder. Alright, so that's the average. Now how do you go about doing other functions? It's a very similar process to the ask average. So I've got a gauge set up here, which is a balance. And as you can see, for my eccentricity, I want to find the maximum value from my coordinate, or my quarters here, as compared to the center. So I get the max value from the 4 lines here, and I subtract my center reading. So that will give me my eccentricity. Now for the standard deviation, of the repeatability, I just enter in the standard, use the standard deviation function for each of the readings. So if I've got 5, I'd list through 16. So if I've got 10, I'd list through 22. So you can have as many as you want here. But this is something that I think a lot of people can use, and I think they'll get a lot of benefit out of it. And if you have any questions, you know where we are. Thanks a lot and have a good day.